And it's like this. And I've asked people this question before, and I've never really gotten an answer. But I was talking to a Jewish woman a number of weeks ago who is just on the lap of Gaza, if you know what if you know what I mean. And she is just so pro Gaza, so sympathetic to God. She's just I could listen. What Muslims, they don't relent on a damn thing. They don't give up on a damn thing. They are the most stubborn people on earth. They are just like the Jews who fought the Romans. You ever read about the Jews who fought the Romans during the Roman-Jewish War? They didn't give up on shit, those people. Romans came in, they said, we're going to kill all of y'all. Jews said, go right ahead. The Romans said, let's burn some of this temple down. The Jews jumped into the fire. They don't give up on a damn thing. The original Jews, before they went into Europe and got Europeanized, the OG Jews were basically just Arab fanatics. That's what they were. They were like Arabs. They were straight up. They were like Houthis back in the day. The Romans were fighting them. They were probably wearing sandals as they were fighting the Romans. They were probably wearing pajamas and sandals, and they had little knives in their hands, and they were going to go out and shank some Roman soldiers. I mean, they didn't give up on a damn thing. Muslims don't give up on anything. Gazans, they're like, kill us, bomb us, we don't care. They don't care. Bomb them. Right? That's what they think. Because if you kill us, we're going to go to Jannah. That's what they think. That's how they think, Gazans. We're going to go up to Jannah. You find Jews, Israelis today, who are like, oh no, I love Gazans. We shouldn't bomb them because I feel sorry for those people. So you find Jews, European Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, you find them actually giving up on Israel. That's what you find them doing. You find them giving up on Israel, but you find the Muslims not giving up on a damn thing. There's a big difference here. So this Jewish woman, she was all up on Instagram, talking about how bad Israel is and, oh, the poor Gazans are being killed and blah, blah, blah. And I asked her a very simple question. I responded to one of her stories, and I said, very simple question. If a man grabs a child, his own child, let's say. Let's make the story more intense. He grabs his own child, and he's in a shootout with the cops. He's got a gun, and he's got his kid, and he got the kid wrapped around his arm. I think this mic is way too close. He's got the kid wrapped up around his arm, and he's got his gun in the other hand. Right? He's got his son here in his arm. He's got his gun pointed at the cops, and he's shooting at the cops. And he's got a kid, and he's boom, 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 shooting at the cops. Well, those bullets could hit the cops, right? He's still a threat. He's still a danger to the cops and to other people. And the cops return fire, and they kill the guy and the kid. Who are you going to blame? Are you going to blame the cops? Or are you going to blame the guy who held the kid up as he was shooting at the officers? Any sensible person is going to say, no, obviously the criminal was the one at fault. We can't blame the cops because the cops were trying to defend themselves. But you're literally falling for the propaganda and the manipulation of the criminal. Because the criminal's holding his kid. He's saying, were you going to shoot the kid? If you shoot me, you shoot the kid. You're falling for his manipulation. And that's what's happening. You have people who are being gaslit to the point where they're supporting terrorists and sympathizing with terrorists. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. And they believe that Israel is doing a genocide on the Gazan people. So there's a genocide going on. Okay, there's a genocide. Right? That's what you say. Let's take your claim and let's evaluate it. Very simple. Yahya Sinwar is the leader of Hamas. The leader of Hamas is Yahya Sinwar. If you ever see this guy's face, he looks like a goblin. He looks like a little demon goblin. Yahya Sinwar is a serial killer. The leader of Hamas is a serial killer. He murdered 4 people back, I believe, in the 1980s. He's a murderer. And he was a murderer in Gaza when Gaza was under Israeli occupation. He was a murderer. He murdered 4 individual Palestinians. Why did he murder them? Because he suspected that those 4 Palestinians were collaborators with the Israelis. They were collaborationists with the Israelis. So he strangled 2 of them to death, and I think he shot the other 2 guys. So Israel arrested Yahya Sinwar, tried him, found him guilty of murder, and gave him 4 life sentences. They sentenced him to prison for life. Now, if Israel really wanted to genocide the Gazan people, why did they put Yahya Sinwar in prison for life for murdering Palestinians? I mean, if you were living in Nazi Germany, right? Let's say, I'll give you an example. There was a French serial killer. I forgot his name. I can look him up real quick. There was a French serial killer in World War II. He was a French serial killer who, while he was living under Nazi occupation, decided that he was going to go out and murder Jews. So Marcel Petiot was a French serial killer. He murdered anywhere from 60 to 200 people. This guy was a massive monster. He was a really evil, subhuman piece of trash. But because he was living under German occupation, he knew he could kill Jews and get away with it. Because, I mean, if the government is massacring Jews and you murder Jews, the government's not going to care. They want you to kill Jews. Yahya Sinwar was put in prison for life. Why? Because he murdered Palestinians. So if Israel was all about genocide, then why did they put him in prison for that? Here's another point about Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar got cancer while he was in prison. And he had a brain tumor. And who cured him of cancer? Who cured Yahya Sinwar? Who cured the leader of Hamas from cancer? It was an Israeli doctor. The Israeli medical system saved Yahya Sinwar from brain cancer. And how does Yahya Sinwar repay the Israelis? He massacred them. So doesn't that tell you something about these people? Doesn't that tell you that they're scum? That they're just bastards? Right? And there are many stories like this. I can tell you a story like this from my own family. My grandfather almost died from a blood clot. Yeah, my grandfather almost died from a blood clot. And the Palestinian medical system at that time was garbage. The Palestinian doctor was giving my grandfather sugar pills. And he said, well, take these pills, they're going to save you. They were really sugar pills. And so the Palestinian medical system was such garbage that they thought that they could heal people by psychologically tricking them into thinking that the pills would actually work. So it was a healing through the power of psychological suggestion. Take these pills. They're really good for you. They're pharmaceutical medication. They're going to heal you from blood clots. They're really just sugar pills. But they hoped that, hey, maybe by tricking your mind, they could get you to psychologically heal yourself, right? It was just garbage. Who saved my grandfather? Who saved my grandfather? My grandfather was healed by a Jewish doctor. Yeah, my grandfather was healed by a Jewish doctor. And my grandfather hated the Jews. Even on his deathbed, he hated the Jews. He hated the Jews. Here's another story that they don't talk a lot about. Here, I'll give you another one. Here, I'll look it up real quick. Hamas leader whose daughter received medical attention in Israel. Here it is. October 19th, 2014. Daughter of the leader of Hamas in Gaza was admitted to an Israeli hospital for emergency medical treatment this month after she suffered complications from a routine procedure, 2 sources familiar with the case said, etc., etc. So you have these Hamas leaders who know if my kid gets really ill, I could send them to an Israeli hospital. Who know if my child is ill, if my daughter or son is seriously ill, I could just send them over to the Israeli hospital. And the Israeli doctors won't have any qualms about curing the child of a leader for an organization that wants to destroy Israel. Now, if it was the other way around, if Gaza had the advanced medical apparatus, the advanced medical industry, and Israel didn't. Let's say that Gaza had a medical system that was superior to that of Israel. Let's just say that. Do you think that Hamas would allow for Israelis just to willy-nilly send their kids to Gazan hospitals? Do you think that Gazan doctors would be allowed to cure Israeli children from diseases? I don't think they would be as nice. I don't believe that. And Gazan nurses. How are Gazan nurses trained? Who trains the Gazan nurses? Gazan nurses have been trained by Israel. Gaza used to send its nurse, before this war broke out, Gazan nurses would be sent to Israel, Israeli hospitals, to be trained on how to be better nurses. Oh, I thought Israel wanted to genocide all the Gazans. Well, why would you work to better the medical system of a people that you want to genocide? If you want to genocide people, why would you make their medical system better? Why would you cure the children of the leaders of that people that you want to genocide? None of this makes sense. The truth is always obvious. That's one thing that I've learned. Reality is always the obvious. What's the obvious? Look at the obvious. Everybody wants to find like some secret esoteric thing. What is the obvious truth? The obvious truth is that you have an organization that hates the Jews. They killed Israelis. Israel responded by bombing them. That's the obvious truth. There's no secret. There's no conspiracy. Well, they want to genocide them. Well, okay, but you find facts like the ones that I just showed you that contradict this claim. It's just bullshit. And there's so much bullshit out there. There's so much bullshit out there. And people believe in this stuff. People believe in this stuff. Why do people believe in this stuff? Because a lot of people hate Jews. A lot of people hate Jews. There's a lot of people out there who hate Jews. And isn't it interesting? One thing I've noticed is that the people who go against me on this issue also hate Jews. There are people who say, oh, Ted, when you say that hatred to the Jews is coming back, well, that's a bunch of nonsense. You're believing in the Jewish lies. It's like, people don't hate Jews. You're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. You're wrong because I hate Jews. People are just contradicting themselves and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. And here's another thing I've noticed is if anyone writes a comment on chat or underneath a video, or if anybody writes anything on Twitter and they have a Roman or Greek statue as their profile pic, they're Nazis. That's what I've concluded. That's what I've noticed. Anytime you see a Roman or Greek statue on somebody's profile pic, rest assured that guy listens to Richard Wagner, and he's read Mein Kampf. He has a copy of Mein Kampf next to his bed. It never fails, and I know I'm going to get somebody coming up on here. I have a Roman statue. I'm a Nazi. Blah blah blah. Every time I have seen somebody with one of those things on their profile pic, they always will spout some expression of sympathy to the Third Reich, or they'll say the Jews do A, B, C, and D. It just never fails. It never fails.